Like many features in Dreamweaver, there are a number of ways to add images to a page. One of the simplest is to choose Insert, Image. Now you want to select the image that you want to add to your page. And here's a secondary lesson as I show you how to insert an image. Right now, we have an Images folder in our Silly Computers 2 folder, but I don't actually have any images in there. Now, I did give you a bunch of images for this lesson, but they're in your project files in Chapter 2 in the Silly Computers folder, the original one that came with your project files. And if you click on Images there, you'll see I have 3 different images you can use in this chapter. Let's start with the backbend image. So I'm going to select backbend 450 and click Choose. Now the next thing that's going to happen is that Dreamweaver is going to ask me for some alternate text. Now if you've turned off accessibility options in your preferences, you won't see this dialog. And if you don't want this dialog visible, you can go into Preferences now and choose not to show accessibility attributes when you're inserting an image or any of these other options. However, I recommend that you leave this dialog turned on because alternate text is really, really important on the web for a number of reasons. Not the least of them that there are many people who surf the web using what are called screen readers or browsers that read pages to them. And alternate text, which doesn't actually display in a browser for people who see your pages, is used as an alternative when someone can't actually see the image. So what you should put in the alternate text field here is basically a description of the image. So for example, for this picture, I could type photo of woman doing backbend. You can use whatever description you want in the alternate text. And when you click OK, again you see that text doesn't actually appear on the page, but it does, while the image is selected, appear here in the Properties Inspector. So at the bottom of the page here in this Properties Inspector, you have another place where you can add or edit the alternate text. By the way, alternate text can also help you with search engines because you can add more keywords there that are relevant to the page. And in general, it's just good practice to include it. So for all those reasons, I like to leave the alternative text dialog turned on so that every time I insert an image, Dreamweaver reminds me to do that. Now I told you there are a number of ways to insert images, so let's just do another one just to give you an idea. Over here in the Insert panel, which if you were used to using Dreamweaver CS3 used to be here at the top of the screen, it's now by default over here on the right. As you'll see in the next chapter on customizing the interface, you can move this wherever you want it on the page. But I kind of like it here in the top right-hand corner. If it's not already open, you can choose Window Insert to open it, and then make sure you have the common options displayed if you want to find the Images option. Now instead of choosing Insert Image, you can simply click on the Images icon, and again it will open the Select Image Source dialog. Now I'm in exactly the same place that I was a moment ago because Dreamweaver is remembering the previous location from which I inserted an image. So if I wanted to add that Dog Days picture here, for example, I could now choose that just as I chose the last one. And again, including some alternate text, a description like dog with computer. Click OK. Now, here's a potential problem you may be thinking about. I told you at the beginning when we did the site setup process that it was important that all of the files and images in your website be contained in your local root folder. And if we go down here to the local root folder, you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, Janine, you just added images that were in that other folder, and, nice of you to include those images, but then you had me set up this new folder, and this is my local root folder, and where are my images? Well, you don't see this yet, necessarily, but if we click this little refresh button here in the Files panel, notice that an arrow appears, and if I click on that arrow, notice that actually both of those images are now contained in the Images folder in my Site folder. And what Dreamweaver has very elegantly done behind the scenes is try to save me the problem of uploading a Site folder that doesn't have all of my images in it. So when you insert images in Dreamweaver, if they're not all in your main root folder, Dreamweaver will automatically copy them into your default images folder, which is one of the reasons it's important to specify that folder as you do the site setup process, so Dreamweaver knows where to put those photos. If you don't see them, remember, you just hit the refresh button and they should show up in the local files panel.